Cyprus has learned to manage drought through experience. A similar crisis in 2008 forced the country to import water on tankers from Greece. Yannis Papazoglou, a mechanical engineer with the country's water development department who is involved with bringing water in from abroad, said he hopes that scenario won't be repeated. The reservoir behind the Kouros Dam, the largest in the country, is down to just 16.7% of its capacity. Papazoglou said that is better than a decade ago, when the volume of water dropped to well below 1%. By restricting the use of water for agriculture, he said the department is ensuring there is enough water for this year and next if drought conditions persist. The nearby city of Limassol is supported by a desalination plant that converts around 10.6 million gallons of water daily. The facility is operated privately and the water is then sold to the government and distributed. An abandoned church towers over the Kouros Dam near Limassol, Cyprus. Petros Karagias, for NBC News. A half-mile pipe sucks in water from the Mediterranean Sea, filtering out as much debris as possible, explains Giannis Gunrides, a mechanical engineer with operator MN Limassol Water Co. The water then works its way through a complex filtration system developed by Israel's national water company, Mekorit, that includes reverse osmosis and the addition of minerals and chlorine for taste and safety. The water costs about 85 cents per cubic meter, 264 gallons, much higher than the 10 to 12 cents it costs to treat and distribute the same amount of fresh water. Suffering crops. The government turned off the taps to seasonal crops this month, meaning significant losses for farmers. Permanent crops, like trees that are harder to replace when they die, were receiving roughly 25% of their water needs simply to keep plants alive. The Riverland Dairy Biofarm is in the center of the island, roughly 30 miles from the south coast. Vasilis Kaipanu raises goats and sheep and produces hay and seasonal crops and greenhouses there. A small dam near a farm in Campia, Cyprus. Petros Karagias, for NBC News. To support his own water needs, Kaipanu has 3 boreholes and captures rainwater in 2 massive tanks. Without regular rain, the tanks are getting low and crops are suffering. Kaipanu said he produced 55% less hay compared with years when rain is adequate. It means he'll have to import feed from overseas, at a 35% higher cost than growing it himself. Pumping groundwater is also becoming more expensive as the diesel required for the job increases in price, he said. I worry about this, but I'm always positive, he said. I believe nature can make the balance, but we need people to have a vision. Kaipanu wants to see the government prioritize the agriculture sector. He said less water should be allocated for tourism areas and conservation practices like what he's implemented at his property could be scaled nationally. We could collect water at each house, he said. The most hated person in Cyprus, Epamos Hagipakos, the country's chief water officer, acknowledges there is plenty of criticism of the government's efforts to mitigate the crisis. There is no way I can keep everybody happy, he said. I was told by a friend of mine that these days, I'm the most hated person in Cyprus. Deciding who gets water and how much is a delicate calculation that considers economic and social issues, Hagipakos said. Farmers argue they have international contracts they must deliver on and their own livelihoods to maintain, but tourism is a far bigger contributor to the country's economy. Agriculture represented just 2% of the country's GDP in 2016, while tourism's direct and indirect contributions amounted to 21.4%. AUNAP is a popular destination for tourists. Patrick Baz, AFP, Getty Images file. There are also practical considerations when choosing what initiatives to implement. Would shutting down all the swimming pools really make a difference? Hagipakos asked. Negotiations are underway to expand the capacity of the Limassol desalination plant to produce an extra 5.3 million gallons of water daily. With that increase, Hagipakos said the city could function without any rainfall. The construction of a 5th plant on the island is also up for bid for the Paphos region. Long-term, Hagipakos said he wants major pipelines built to better connect the water system across the country in case one of the plants breaks down. Things happen, he said. Your air conditioner goes wrong midsummer. Desalination plants go out of operation because they need maintenance or something happens. The desalination plant in Episkopi, Cyprus. Petros Karagias, for NBC News. Plans have been developed to improve wastewater treatment and collection at the capital to create more water for irrigation, he said. Farmers are also being encouraged to shift toward more drought-resistant crops. Hagipakos said he'd like to see heftier fees for homes that use high amounts of water to create incentives for conservation. You have to adjust with what you have, he said.